Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Sarah of Rich Textures Crochet and welcome to week 1 of the 2025 Make It Your Way Crochet Along. We are working our way through over these next several weeks 10 different blanket square patterns, and this is week 1 of our second option for the crochet along. This is the Herringbone Ribbing Afghan Square, and so we're going to work this design together, and then at the end of the crochet along, depending on the blankets that Afghan squares that you choose, you will have your very own unique stitch sampler blanket. So today for the tutorial, each of these squares in the blanket measures about 12 by 12 inches. I'm working with a medium or a worsted weight yarn. This is the Pound of Love yarn, great big balls of yarn, over 1,000 yards in each. You only need about 4,000 yards to complete each of the blankets. For our stitch today, you're going to need about 141 yards of yarn per square. About 564 yards in total after you work a total of 4 of these. You're also going to need a 5mm or an H8 crochet hook and a copy of the free written instructions, which are on my website at richtexturescrochet.com. If this is your first time hearing about the Make It Your Way Crochet Along, you will find a direct link down in that description with all of the information and the details that you'll need to complete this project. So thank you so much for joining me. While you're here, I invite you to subscribe, take a look around, and this channel is updated every week with free crochet patterns and stitch tutorials. Let's grab our hooks and yarn and get started. Now our Afghan square today is worked in rows. You're going to start by making a slip knot. Now to get the 12 inches by 12 inches, I worked a total of 48 chain stitches. To change the size of your square, you can use any number of stitches you desire. Today I'm going to do 48. And there's 30. 40. And 48. Once you have the desired number of stitches worked, you're going to begin row 1 by working a single crochet into the second chain from your hook. I am working into the back bumps of my stitches. For this pattern, it doesn't matter too much. You're then going to work a herringbone single crochet in each stitch across until 1 stitch remains. To work the herringbone single crochet, you're going to insert your hook through the top loop on the front of the post of the previous stitch. So when we look at our single crochet, we have our top 2 loops here. This is our post, and there's a loop that runs vertically down here on the front. You're going to insert your hook under that loop, and then also into the next stitch on your foundation chain. Yarn over, draw up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That is your herringbone single crochet. We're going to repeat this all the way across until 1 stitch remains. Looking at the front of your post, you have a vertical bar here. Insert your hook under that vertical bar, then into the next stitch on your foundation chain, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over and draw through all 3 loops. Repeat this all the way across. You're always inserting your hook under the last vertical bar there in the direction that you are working. So continue all the way across until 1 stitch remains. When you come all the way across at the end of row 1, you're going to work your final herringbone stitch and chain 1 and turn your work. Now for row 2, we're going to begin by working a single crochet into our first stitch. Your chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so you're just working under the top 2 loops of the stitch at the base of that turning chain. We're now going to work in the back loop only all the way across, and we're going to work 1 herringbone stitch all the way across until we come to that final stitch. When we are working in our back loops only, if you look at the top of your stitch in the previous row, you'll have a loop that is closest to you and one that is furthest away. This one that is furthest away is your back loop only. So work our herringbone single crochet, insert your hook under the front loop of that post, into the back loop only of the next stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over and pull through 3. Repeat through the post, back loop only of the next stitch, yarn over, drop a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. You're going to repeat that all the way across until you have 1 stitch remaining. When you come all the way across and have 1 stitch remaining, you're going to work your final herringbone stitch under both loops. So before we were working under a back loop only, we're going to go back and we're going to finish off working a herringbone stitch into that final stitch under both loops. You're then going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now for the rest of the pattern for rows 3 through to 37, we're going to repeat our row 2. Working under both loops, begin with a single crochet stitch and then work single crochet herringbone stitches in the back loops only of each stitch all the way across until you come to your final stitch. When you come to your final stitch, you're going to work your final herringbone stitch under both loops once again. Chain 1, turn your work, and repeat. You're going to repeat this until you have a total of 37 rows or until your square is square. It measures about 12 inches. Unless you have changed the size. You can then meet me back here and we're going to work a quick edging just around each of our squares. Now I have worked my square through to the end of row 37. I have a beautiful Afghan square here of herringbone single crochet ribbing. And we're now going to finish off the square by working a simple single crochet edging. It just makes the square a little bit easier to join to the others when it comes time to joining them at the end. If you are working the other squares in this blanket, all of the edgings here are worked the same. So at the end of your final row, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. We're now going to be working under both loops all the way across. And you're going to begin by working 3 single crochet stitches into the first stitch. You're then going to evenly work 36 single crochet stitches all the way across to your next corner. Now for this square, you'll remember we did start off with a total of 47 stitches, so as we're working we are going to skip a few. You'll want to make sure that you have a total of 37 all the way across, so we're going to work 36 more. If you're changing the number, that's fine, just make note of it, and you'll want to make sure that you work the same number of stitches around each of your squares. So today I'm just going to evenly work a total of 37, including one of those corner stitches, so 36 more all the way across. Once you've worked your 36 plus one of these corner ones for 37 all the way across, you'll be at the final stitch on the top. You're going to work one more stitch into the corner and then turn your work so that you're working along this rough edge. Once again, you're going to work a total of 37 single crochet stitches, beginning with this first corner and then evenly spaced all the way across, and you want a total of 37 all the way down to the next corner. Once you have come all the way across, I'm just working my final 37th single crochet. You're going to work one more in the corner and then turn your work so that you're working along the bottom edge, and once again you're going to work a total of 37 single crochet stitches all the way across to the next corner. Work your stitch in the corner stitch. You're then going to work 36 more stitches all the way up to the first stitch where you will join with a slip stitch. I'm going to continue working all the way around and I'll meet you back at that first stitch. Once you come all the way around and you've worked 36 more single crochet, you're back at your first stitch. You're going to have a total of 152 stitches all the way around. You're going to join with a slip stitch just into that first stitch. You can then go ahead, fasten off, weave in your ends, and if you are making 4 of the squares in this particular pattern, you're going to want to make 3 more. But that is how you work your herringbone ribbing Afghan square. So thank you so much for joining me. Once again, I invite you to subscribe, take a look around, and I look forward to seeing you again next time for the next Afghan square. Until then, happy crochet!